What's up, guys? Welcome back to DAHS Radio, where we talk about NFTs, crypto, and Web3. We're still not sure of what to call this segment, so let us know if you prefer DAHS news, Dapper news, or something like Web3 news. Alright, let's get started with this week's topics. What do you have for us this week?
Alright, so this week I have some big news between FTX and Binance. There's a lot of drama going on there. I have an update on Opensea's position on creator royalties. We're then going to talk about the biggest seizing of Bitcoin ever by the DOJ with over $3 billion. And then I'm going to go into Rolex filing for patents in the Metaverse. And finally, Lebanon's financial woes and how Bitcoin is serving them during these rough times. What do you got?
So I actually have that same article on Binance versus FTX. And on top of that, I'm coming out with the Y00ts Reveal news, Yuga Labs expanding the Meebits collection, Game of Thrones coming to the NFT world, and also I have some updates on Apple versus Instagram. So without further ado, what's the first topic for the week?
Alright, so our first topic is between FTX and Binance. CZ recently announced that Binance will be selling the remainder of their FTX holdings because they have suspicions about the ability of FTX to support their holdings with liquidity. So this basically came out because there was a CoinDesk article that was showing some of the financials between FTX and SBF, which is their trading firm, and apparently a substantial amount of their holdings are held in their own token, which they can print. So basically, Binance head CZ saw this and was like, we don't think they can support their liquidity. We're going to sell in the next 1 to 2 months. People are estimating that it's like over $600 million worth of FTX's token. And then someone else came out saying that they will buy every single one of these shares at $22 a share. So this is Alameda, which is...
Alameda Research, yeah.
Alameda Research, yeah. So it's a sister company, and one of their heads came out and said they will buy each of these for $22 a share. What do you think?
Yeah, so I actually have some more information to add on this. So the reason there's feud between Sam, the CEO of FTX, and CZ, the CEO of Binance, is because CZ found out that FTX has been paying lobbyists to go against Binance US. So Binance US is 20 times bigger than FTX, and Binance is 20 times bigger than FTX. So it's really hard for a cryptocurrency marketplace to grab share. So they have been going behind Binance's back and lobbying against them to be in the US, like saying, oh yeah, Binance is doing this, Binance is doing that bad stuff. So CZ did mention in one of his tweets that it's not proper business etiquette to go behind someone's back and stab them like that, when CZ was one of the few people that invested in FTX early on. And the reason CZ and Binance hold so much FTT, which is the stable coin of FTX, is because they invested so early on, and then last year they decided to sell their equity, and they got their payout in half as BNB and half as FTT. So right now, what people are speculating is the implications this can have is if CZ decides to pull out of FTX, Sam doesn't have any other option than to pull out of Solana. So similar to how CZ is funding FTX, FTX is funding Solana. And literally the whole ecosystem can crash if CZ causes this tumble domino effect, where CZ pulls out money of FTX, FTX pulls out money of Solana, and basically what everyone is scared of is something like a Terra Luna event happening again, where Terra Luna was able to print their USD and they were able to print that to fluctuate as people went in and out, and that's similar to how FTT functions. Not exact protocol, but it's similar, as in they can print more. So yeah, CZ wasn't too happy about this, and he wanted to avoid a liquidation crisis, which I can understand. But this has so much implications. Like, this can cause like a 2 to 4 week huge crash in crypto. What do you think?
I think this is big on just every side. As a Solana, as a big guy on Solana, I'm kind of scared for its future. But I would also like to point out that after this happened, FTX's holdings on their platform dropped by over 47%. So this is clearly scaring a lot of big players. A lot of people are pulling out, even if it's not Binance themselves. But this news is scaring a lot of people, and I think it could cause some scary implications, like you were saying. But what do you got for us next?
So without wasting too much time on that article, let's move on to the next topic for this week, which is I want to talk about Yuga Labs and Meebits. So if you guys don't know, Yuga Labs actually bought Meebits about a year ago, and they've been building upon that collection, and now is like the first big product reveal for them. And the cool thing is they've released two things at the same time. So they released the ability for all the Meebits NFTs, who are Metaverse avatars, to dance using AI. So any music that's around them in the Metaverse, instead of like how Fortnite has like 10 set emoticons or like dance moves you can do. Now the Meebit uses AI to actually dance in rhythm and in synchronization to the music. So I think that's super cool. I'll let you react to that before I add the second part.
I love it. I think that's awesome. I love how people are integrating these very creative ways to use AI just to make the metaverse just seem more, I don't know, fluid. It just seems more natural when they add things like this. So I think it's really cool that they're making those sorts of improvements. But what's your second topic?
For sure. No, this is actually to add on to how Yuga Labs is expanding Meebits. And you know how there's those pop television toys like at the gas stations and at Walmart? It's like those collectibles for like every movie and every genre and all famous people and stuff. So what Yuga Labs made is they made physical toys that they're going to ship to every single one of Meebits holders for just the shipping cost. So Yuga Labs is completely undertaking the manufacturing cost and all manufacturing operations. And for just paying the shipping cost, all holders are set for free a physical toy of their personal NFT. I think that's legendary. DAHS wanted to do something like this, but the expense to undertake something like this, you really need to be $1 billion company.
I think that's really cool. I'm wondering what the quality of these will be like, and I want to see how many of their holders actually take them up on this offer. I know I would, just to have it like sit on my desk. I think that'd be really cool, but I want to see like what percentage of their holders take advantage of this, and I want to see like what are those shipping costs like? Are they like normal shipping costs, or is it, if it's international, are you gonna pay like $30? Do you pay shipping in like US dollars or crypto?
I hope crypto.
I hope.
But yeah, I think the shipping, I have no idea how the shipping costs work because you need to be a holder to actually go onto their website. But I assume it's different, right? Compared to where you live at. But yeah, I think it's just super cool that they're doing this because I wanted to do something like this. But when we looked into it, to make quality products, it's very, very expensive. But yeah, with their NFTs trading at above 10,000 each and Ethereum still having enforceable royalties, they're making so much money every day. This is probably just like a week's worth of revenue for them.
Yeah, probably. Speaking of royalties on Ethereum,
so without wasting,
I have some news on Opensea. So they're releasing their final verdict by tomorrow, November 8th. About what they will be doing about royalties. They've already said their stance, sort of, but they're releasing a collection of tools that's going to let creators of new collections enforce these royalties with an additional smart contract that they're given. So basically, the creators will have the option if they want to force people to pay royalties or not, and it will not be left up to Opensea themselves. So they're releasing software to do this, and I can give some quotes here. So,
Before you give the quote, I have a question. Is this just for Solana, right? OpenSea Solana?
No, this is for everything.
It's all of OpenSea?
All of OpenSea.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're making a new on-chain enforcement system. So starting tomorrow, they will enforce creator royalties only for new collections that are using on-chain enforcement tools. So if you're using the tool, they'll enforce the royalty. If not, it'll be optional.
Yeah, I didn't hear of Ethereum having any issues to enforce royalties. But yeah, I think it makes sense they do something like this. For Solana, it's extremely necessary. Like, right now, I just see thousands of builders drop out of the ecosystem, and before it was unexcused, right? You can call them soft drug or that, but now when the company's making $0, I completely sympathize with everyone who's dropping out, because from a logical perspective, right? If you have a high burn rate, nothing else makes sense than closing shop.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing else makes sense.
So many companies just can't sustain without those fees. But what were you saying?
So I want to move on to the next topic, which everyone who's watching is probably super excited about. The Y00ts NFT collection actually revealed 2 days ago, and they actually used a cool mechanism to reveal it. So they had a website where every 3 minutes a new Y00ts was revealed, and this actually created lots and lots of hype, and especially because the Y00t list application was actually sorted out person by person by person, and they made sure every single person had a Twitter and they were active on it. Almost every single person that got a one-of-one NFT, there's 40 one-of-one NFTs in the collection, came to Twitter and posted. Like, you can see all over Twitter how people are posting their Y00ts one-of-ones, and considering there's only 40, almost like I've seen like 10 or 20 of them at once. But yeah, 22 of the 40 one-of-ones have been revealed so far, and that's actually what's causing this price discrepancy between the Y00ts NFT and the Y00ts mint tube. So once the Y00ts art was revealed, the Y00ts mint tube dropped from 120 Solana floor price to 100 flat, while the NFTs, which should have had a value the same as the YouTubes of 120 Solana or 100 Solana, they dropped to 75 Solana. So the NFTs itself have dropped in value, but because there's still almost 50% of the one of ones, like 18 one of ones still left to unlock, the mint tubes are being seen as like a lottery ticket, and they're trading at a premium because these one of ones are trading like a crazy differences from the floor price to what the one of ones are trading at. What do you think about the Y00ts Reveal? Do you like the art? What do you think about what I have to say?
I think the art's pretty cool, but I still like DOJ more personally, but this is just, it has been flooding my timeline. It is everywhere. All I do when I scroll is see Y00ts. So I gotta say though, I do understand why these mint tubes or the Y00ts tubes are trading at a higher value, because if I got one and it was just like, I understand Frank said that something like almost all attributes are equal rarity, but if you have a one of one, that makes it worth just exponentially more. So I can see why people are playing the game. They're thinking maybe I can sell my Y00ts at floor and then buy a Y00ts tube and hope, cross my fingers, that I'll get the next one of one. So I can see why people are doing that. I've heard some speculation that the reason the price dropped is because people don't like the art. I don't really think that's true. I haven't seen very many bad reactions to it. I just think people want a more rare one, so that they're trying to sell like their common Y00ts or whatever and just trying to get one of the really cool ones.
It's also become a trend now to just FUD collections.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they've already bottomed and they start going up. But yeah, without wasting too much time on this article, what do you have for us?
Okay, so next, there was over $3.3 billion worth of Bitcoin was seized by the Department of Justice the other day. And this was from the Silk Road back in 2012. I think it was last year the main guy behind that pled guilty, and a few days ago they found over 3 billion in Bitcoin in his house on like ledgers and stuff. So this is like the biggest seizing of Bitcoin the Department of Justice has ever had. So it's just massive. No one knows what they're going to do with the Bitcoin yet, but now the Department of Justice has over $3.3 billion in Bitcoin from the Silk Road. What do you think?
I think they spent more than 3.3 billion tracking them down. That's how usually the government works out here.
Might be.
But yeah, honestly, talking about the Silk Road, it's a very iconic name. Most people in crypto know it some way or another. But yeah, I think this is huge. We've seen how governments are tracking these crypto scammers and busting them. I heard like a 1.5 billion bust. Like I don't know when it was, like maybe 6 months ago, 8 months ago. Yeah, that was like a couple. So this is like even bigger. You said this was the biggest,
right? Yeah, this
is
the biggest so far.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just crazy. I'm just trying to think of all the implications that has. But yeah, honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is the blockchain is transparent and you can't hide.
Yeah.
The good things about it are the bad things about it too. So yeah, I think if someone has committed a crime, right? Like if someone has grubbed like millions of dollars, I think all of this stuff is going to get investigated. And soon, I even see this investigation being done by AIs and not humans. I just see AI scanning the blockchain, saying red flag, red flag, red flag, look at these people, and then humans coming to look at it. But yeah, I think especially on the blockchain, you don't want to goof around.
Yeah, so after he pled guilty, he is now facing up to 20 years in prison. I honestly thought it would be more, but I guess good for him. Yeah,
I mean, that they say 20 to life, I guess.
It's up to 20, apparently.
Up to 20?
It's not that bad.
Well, let's move on to the next news article for this week. So, 3 weeks ago, I actually talked about how Lord of the Rings is going to be the first movie made into an NFT, like first movie franchise, like huge movie franchise made into an NFT. Warner Brothers actually loved the replies they're getting from everyone, and they decided to make Game of Thrones NFT collection. Literally, Game of Thrones NFT collection. And this is going to come out in Q1 of 2023 between January and February. So stay tuned for that, a Game of Thrones NFT collection. And one thing I do have to say is whenever these large Web 2 companies come into Web 3, there's lots and lots of hype initially. But usually the hype dies down. So yeah, we've seen several examples of how Web 2 companies come into Web 3 and then initially there's a price spike and then it completely crashes. We've even seen it with like large news stations like CNN that sold NFTs, but then they completely took down their NFT marketplace right after when the hype died down. So yeah, just if you're going to be trading these Game of Thrones NFTs, just be careful that initially there might be a huge spike and that might not last.
Yeah.
Alright, what do you have for us next?
I just wanted to say I'm not trying to be a fudder, but I think they're going to sell really high at first and then tank, because I've seen this over and over again. But next, Rolex has filed for Metaverse patents. So, and I quote, they're They are filing for trademark applications related to cryptocurrencies, Metaverse, NFTs, and even exchanges. So they're looking into selling virtual goods. Rolex is entering the Metaverse, and they filed these patents only like last week. So this is really big. It was actually approved, I think, today, November 7th.
So, fun fact actually, so we only report crypto, NFT, and Web3 news here, but since you mentioned Rolex anyway, yesterday I was reading headlines how every Rolex on earth is sold out. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine
like hundreds of thousands.
Literally right now, there's an extreme shortage of Rolexes. Like, there's videos all over YouTube of people going into Rolex stores and like, can I have that one? I can see it right there. And then the actual truth is, all the Rolexes they put on display have the inner mechanism locked. So that means they don't have the sauce inside that makes the clock turn. So it's just a display model. So right now, all over the world, in all these fancy stores that sell Rolex watches and even Rolex stores, they don't have none of the base models. Like the cheapest one, this one that starts at $5,000, $10,000. None of those are available. Of course, the higher end ones are available, but the intro level Rolexes are completely out of stock worldwide. So yeah, there's huge demand for Rolexes, and there's even bigger demand for fake Rolexes. So yeah, I'm not at all surprised that Rolex is coming into blockchain crypto. I've even heard how 2 years ago Rolex and Cardano were talking. But is there any talks on this article on which blockchain they might choose?
I haven't seen anything. This is just them filing for the trademarks. So this is just the today's news was that they just got approved for these trademarks in Metaverse, crypto exchange, NFTs, etc.
Yeah, I think 2 years ago I even heard Rolex talking with Cardano. So maybe they're still talking. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure what's going on right now. Yeah. So now that we talked about Rolex, I have a small update to give on Apple versus Instagram. So 2 weeks ago we spoke about how Apple hates NFTs, and now they have a 30% charge on any in-app purchases made using an NFT product or a crypto product. Well, Instagram is fighting back, and last week we talked about how Instagram partnered with Polygon. Another article came out saying that these NFT companies can use blockchain transactions. So basically, Instagram can use Polygon to avoid this 30% tax. So there's ways to avoid that 30% tax by accepting like Matic instead of accepting US dollars. And I just thought that was super cool that there's ways around this, because whenever Apple came out with that, I thought that'll be a huge loss for NFTs, because it almost sounded like there's no way around it, right? Because usually Apple's really clean with their software, and it's hard to hack, hard to get around.
I'm honestly surprised that they were able to get around it that easily. I would have expected it to be so much harder. I thought there was stuff in the new provisions that Apple sent out that said you couldn't do that, but I'm really happy someone found a way around it, because 30% tax is beyond stupid. And then...
So actually... Yeah, go ahead.
If you have more on Apple, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that the technology they're using to go around Apple, the technology Instagram is using, is nothing new. It's nothing they invented. It's actually the same technology used by Coinbase Commerce, where you pay a random address and then their server verifies if that payment went through or not. So yeah, it's a very simple mechanism, and it's an easy way to get around Apple's 30% tax, which is completely unreasonable. It's completely unreasonable.
Yeah, I don't know how they expect anyone to even like use that app store. Maybe they don't want to for legal reasons or something. Just like, we'll put a 30% tax. It's allowed, but we'll just destroy you financially.
One thing the 30% tax does is it deters away investors. Anyone who thinks that NFT is an investment, it deters them away. Because who's going to jump in at a 30-40% loss?
No one.
But what do you have for us?
So my final story for us today is Lebanon is turning to a lot of cryptocurrencies just to survive. So they've been suffering a massive financial crisis. Like, specifically, the Lebanese pound has lost 95% of its value in since 2019, and this is on top of a triple-digit inflation rate. So they're just getting destroyed. But I was reading today that like a lot of citizens have just turned to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency entirely. Like, some people are receiving like over 90% of their income in crypto, in Bitcoin, because if they make money and then convert it to the Lebanese pound, they just get destroyed. So now the Lebanese government's even talking about making their own digital currency, but they unveiled plans for this a while ago and just nothing has happened. So right now, this is another country heavily reliant on cryptocurrencies due to economic difficulties. So this is just adding to the list of these countries that are switching to crypto out of necessity. What do you think?
Here, what I think is, here in the US, we look at crypto like, oh my god, it's volatile. Are you crazy to put your money in there? But there are some countries where their dollar or their version of the dollar is so much more volatile that they're like, you're crazy not to put your money in Bitcoin. So honestly, when I see that type of contrast, I think that the US is kind of behind in adoption.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, people here really need to start trusting Bitcoin more. We read an article how like 60% of Americans don't trust crypto. They just don't trust crypto at all. They think it's a scam. They think it's fraud. So honestly, that's a huge percentage. That's well over a majority of Americans that don't even bother looking into crypto.
I just want to point out one more statistic that blew my
else,
mind. Since the 2019, with their financial crisis, the nation's minimum wage per month went from about $450 in Lebanese pounds to $17 per month. And there's triple-digit inflation.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. Terrible. But yeah, that's why they switched to it. That's all I have for today. So, wrap us up.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in for episode 8 of DAHS Radio. We'll see you guys next time when we have more interesting news on NFTs, crypto, and Web3.